Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the EVC East Open qualifying pre-show, though. So we're not actually getting into any games, but it is going to be a little bit of selection, seeing how these brackets are getting sorted out. And of course, joining me, the one, the only, and I have to actually point down for once, the man himself. How are you doing, boss?
I'm doing great. It is right after New Year, so New Year, new
Mhm.
us. I guess going into EVC, it's also exciting because we're going to have ourselves some new events with also EVC Surge number 8 being right around the corner. I'm looking forward to it all. But I think, since everyone's here probably looking to get in and see what these teams are going to be, what the groups are going to be looking like, and then back to whatever they were doing, I say we take a look at the first spin here. Matante, in the meanwhile, while the wheel is being spun, how are you doing? I got to return the question.
I'm doing well, boss, and I'm doing very well. I hope everyone had a lovely New Year going through it as well. As you said, New Year, new us, and well, once the end of this, the pick stage kind of goes through, we'll have new brackets for you all. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we do get to start off for anyone that does kind of need just a quick little overview. 2-round tournament. Group stage and then single elimination playoffs. Our first team, Last Echo, getting then put into the group stage. If you want any information about the teams, rosters, and such, it will all be on the Battlefy. So do just keep an eye out. And were there any teams in particular, Puffo, that excited you or maybe piqued your interest?
Honestly, I'm looking towards Fast Learner. I've seen them in the past. They've shown some decent results. They also do have stats available out for the public if anyone wants to see for themselves. But again, I think since this is an open tournament, we don't really have a lot of direct information, but it is a tournament that will allow the top two teams to get themselves into VCL East qualifiers. So that's pretty exciting. There's a lot up on the stake.
It's pretty cool, honestly, to kind of have the open qualifier, especially this early. Like, again, we are January 1st, ladies and gentlemen. So, like, we get the information here. This will then go through on. So, we've got the brackets, obviously, today. We're getting them learned out. Then, tomorrow through to the 4th of January will be the actual games. As my man so eloquently put, it will be the kind of setup stage, the group stage, and then the single elimination to get yourself on to the East qualifier from these two teams. Adios getting themselves now onto the Group B. And as you pointed out, with a lot of kind of new teams and with it being the open qualifier, there is a potential that in a year there will be like one team name that we say here that maybe we don't give too much respect to. No, and in no ways is that a bad thing. It is just because we don't have the information. But all of a sudden, in a year we could be looking at Team Adios. Lost Puppies were one that I seen LP Omni Academy there that could all of a sudden be quite a massive name.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's a lot of up-and-comers, especially in the more recent times where Valorant esport has been rising. And I think tournaments like these do tend to bring out the names that will maybe in the future be quite great. But I guess we're going to have to let time do that as the next team, Olympus Reborn, going to be joining in that first group. Now, of course, the format is 8 groups. The first team, or rather the first group, is going to consist of 5 teams. The rest are going to be out of 4 teams. So, it's going to be your usual group stages where it's best of ones, and then it goes down to the playoffs, which is single elimination best of 3. So again, the tournament's going to be ran through 2nd to the 4th of January. There's going to be no official broadcast, but teams will be streaming their own clean feeds, which I imagine is going to be also for their coaches, maybe for anyone that that's supporting them. But yeah, right now we're just kind of selecting them out. Second team, Frostbite.
Yes, there's going to be quite a lot to learn from here. The coaches and everything. So for anyone basically that is looking to follow this, get on the Battlefy, get the rosters and such, and get a couple of names looked at. I would be shocked if a lot of these teams, as you said, Puffo. I mean, getting these games committed. Obviously, if you win, absolutely, and to have that record there saying that yes, you got the qualification, you got onto EVC East 2026 is the qualifier. $5,000 might be able to do it themselves, but it's a big thing to look back in. And even if you don't get it, even if it doesn't work out for you, you do end up unfortunately losing, whether it is in the kind of playoffs or that single elimination best of 3. Having all that information to work with is much more pivotal. So as we can see with that, the first groups have now been completed. So Group A, the 5-man. If you want to run us through it, Puffo.
I mean, we have Last Echo as first, followed by Adios, Olympus Reborn, Frostbite, and $5,000 as the last. This is going to be our first group. So, all these can also right now already start from the players from Last Echo, can start checking out the players from the rest of the teams. They can maybe try and see if anyone has some VODs up to, kind of do some homework for the following matches. Because again, they're going to be starting tomorrow. So there's not a lot of time for these teams to prepare.
No, there really isn't at this point now. I would hope that, especially as well for the teams with Group A having an additional team on there and $5,000 managing to land the 5th slot in the only group that has a number 5. There's a lot of 5s showing up, so who knows? Maybe 5 grand can get themselves that lucky sort of style coming through. And now we get the Group B set up here. Asterix Division, a name that probably will be a little bit more common for some people. Definitely have had a couple of casts myself where we've seen the Asterix Division roster do a lot of work. So I will not be too surprised if they're considered kind of one of the favorites to maybe walk away. Maybe not to take the whole thing, maybe not get themselves that qualification fully, but at least get themselves into that stage 2.
Yeah, 100%. But even then, right, we can't really predict because there could be some insane teams here that we have never heard of, or there could just be those that we're a bit more common with. And right now, SIU is going to be our next team. Now, of course, we're not going to be looking to butcher the name, so we're just going to stick it down to SIU, second team going into that group number B. And yeah, I've actually seen Asterisk. I do believe they're coming in from I'm unsure where exactly, but I've casted them a bunch of times. They're an extremely strong team. Players are also very humble. Interviewed one of them, the IGL, extremely nice couple of players. But on with the next role, as the third team going into group number B is going to be Targeted.
Here we go, moving on as well. One thing that is cool, and it is going to be interesting, is now there are probably some teams here that maybe are not as confident in their abilities. And, we've both mentioned it, Puffo. I believe me and you have casted over Asterix ourselves, maybe a couple times at this stage. But it is going to be now interesting to get that mentality for some of these teams, because everyone has heard of the Group of Death. Even if you don't cast, even if you just kind of watch sports, watch anything, you always hear that there is just, sometimes you get a group that's just monsters. You get a group that is like absolutely, basically everyone in that group could, take the win, or like we're qualified for like maybe second, or that people would kind of have the high hopes for them. So will we see a death group, kind of for this? Unlikely, just with the information we have to hand at the moment. But something like when it comes to the 4th of January, whenever these groups are all sorted out, whenever this group stage is finished, and then we move on to that single elimination best of 3, as you were mentioning, Puffo, we'll start to get that information.
Yeah. And now we have Group B for Phil. That's going to be the second one. Asterisk Division as the first. SIU, Targeted, and Epmorx Esports. Those are going to be our 4 teams going into Group B. And like I said, right, I don't think there's going to be a death group because, again, we don't really have a lot of these powerhouses. And that's what makes this a bit more exciting, right? We can actually find first impression of certain players and teams and how combination of these players that have been put together in these groups are going to be working out. So I guess that does put a nice little cherry on top. It's not like your usual, oh, we already know all these players, we have the stats on them. It's going to be kind of teams that don't really recognize each other, really giving it their all to see what they can do in an environment that's unrecognized. And as we head into group number C, the Unks are going to be our first team.
The nickname from all of my fellow compatriots that call me a 26-year-old that are all 23 or older. So I will be seeing them in the same retirement home as me. But yeah, the Unks coming out, starting us off in the Group C as well. Samo Genai then joining them through as well. And a big aspect of obviously being in a group with an additional team that Group A has to consider is just the additional game that is going to need to be played, or the additional kind of filter that's going to be decided. Because whether it's like, round robins or such that can be those deciding factors, that is going to have to be the extra consideration. Of course, not going to be consideration for the rest of the groups, but still something to maybe keep in mind, especially if you do have a certain fan favorite.
Yeah. And now going on to the next, I do believe, it's going to be Yogurt C Key right next to Seven Sensitive. It's been like 2 times or 3 times Seven Sensitive have always been on the line there. So I'm looking for them. But, you're also there's probably going to be some players from these teams watching the stream, just trying to see in which group they're going to land so they can maybe get that small amount of preparation in. But yeah, again, as we've been saying up until this point, a lot of these teams maybe players are a bit more known. I do see some teams that really catch me off guard, like Elite Clan. Elite Clan are also a bit more into CS, which is where I'm coming from. They're good in CS, and I'm hoping to have the same reputation going into Valorant.
Well, that's the as we always kind of learn about, kind of getting, well, I have to at the moment, just getting the Labubus in. If you guys manage to get to VCL East, you know what? If you guys do it, I will be shocked. If I will absolutely cheer on the Labubu. 100%. There will be a new fan right here if they can make it. So my best of luck to them, just because it would be hilarious to see EVC, proper VCL casting, and you have to cast the Labubus. And that was actually a fast run through. We've managed to get Group C all done and dusted.
Yeah, and we only have one more group before we get to that halfway point. So group number let's not waste any more time and start rolling the wheel once more. Yeah, the Labubus, I'd be terrified if I was going up against a team like Labubus, because then if you end up losing against them, right? You lost to the Labubus. That's something to put on the record. I wouldn't be too proud of saying that I lost to Labubus, and that's the reason I'm not qualifying for VCL. But hey, we're going on to group number D here, and it's gonna be Mirror Misfits. I like the name play here, trying to put Misfits in it, but Misfits, it's just brain aneurysm.
It's a bit. I was gonna kind of say it's one of those that like written down, very very smart name, but the minute you
Yeah.
say it and you're like, just that comes out like that. Another one that's nowhere near as bad,
Oh,
but I
God.
still have to just hate it as an unk, as I've discussed. Skibidi. But it's not just Skibidi, it's Skibidi. So at least there's
Yeah.
a little bit of flexibility there, a little bit more. So look, ladies and gentlemen, there is a world. I'm just saying, there is a parallel universe that we are
Don't.
most likely not in, but Skibidi and Lavubus as the grand final
Don't.
of VCL 2026, VCL East 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying, but if anyone there knows anyone upstairs or anyone can pull some magic, I would adore to see that come through.
Who said Shakespeare was dead? We have our first Lost Puppies roster, the only one going in. Omni Academy. Again, this is I think this might be one of those death brackets going into it. I mean,
Mm.
this is the group you have Skip a Day. You have Lost Puppies, Omni Academy. You have all these stronger teams. Maybe put in some extra like elite clan, and we have ourselves what we've been looking for. But in general,
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, there is a world where that happens, where Skibidi and I can't I just can't. And the Labubus go up in a grand final VCL. And what I mean,
I'll be in the
poetry.
rafters watching. I'll be in the rafters watching with popcorn, with everything, just going, "This is absolute cinema for the entire duration of that." Even if it's like the world's fastest best of three, it just goes 2-0 and it's like 13-1 both games. I'll still be sitting there in the wings going, "Absolute cinema, ladies and gentlemen."
Absolute cinema.
And with that, our first half of the groups are all finished up now. So, Misfits, LP Omni Academy, Skibidi, and Turkey 5 actually just having a quick run through in the roster. An actual team with a bit of promise.
All right, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Turkey 5. I wonder if the 5 is meant to be like an S, turkeys. I mean, all these teams really do love making us like question what the names mean, but
Yeah.
it's poetry. Poetry is the best way to put it.
Or professional gaslighting, whichever way you want to, whichever way you kind of more look at the names getting set up. But I mean, yeah, we're already halfway through now the groups, and we're just seeing this get kind of tickled down. Repulse Parentless not getting added in actually. Repulse Parentless would have been, had we seen them in the group D, that would have been a very scary group, very quick, I must say.
Yes, it very much would have been, but we have another very blissful name. We have the Cherries going into it. So honestly, again, I don't really have much of a clue as of where they originate from, what is going to be the roster, but I'm looking forward to it. Again, all these teams, it's going to be great. As sadly as they won't be broadcasted, it's always the results you look forward to. And again, we see maybe the Cherries, maybe the Labubu Skibidi come out on top, and we're definitely going to be rooting for them. But the next one is going to be Repulse coming and following the Cherries.
This is a team that at least, Puffo, you've said that, coming from CS and such, you'd seen like Asterix and things. We talked about Asterix a lot in general. This is another team that some people here may actually recognize. And this is a team that definitely, to my knowledge, do have like old feeds, old streams, old casts of like games that they have played. So Repulse Parentless are definitely a team you can study, which is another aspect to it. You'd mentioned it, Puffo, that as soon as you see what group you're in, get yourself that information, get yourself studied up. And sometimes that's not the case, but for rosters like the LP Omnis, Repulse, that's going to be where you can actually essentially not counter pick them, but you can strategize against them.
Yeah. Next team here is going to be by Gal. And to follow up on that point, right? Because if some of these teams are going to be very strong, like you said, the Lost Puppies roster and such, you're taking a look at teams that have a bit of a double-edged sword because you're going up against someone who's strong, someone who has shown results, but like you mentioned, those results can also be studied. So it's kind of a situation where, yes, you might be the team where you probably will come out as the winner because of, again, past results, of the chemistry that the team has, of the confidence, all that comes into play. But in general, again, the enemies can start to study you. Even though it's not a long time, we have about 1 day, it's not going to be enough for teams to fully counter you. It's still like those small bits that end up playing most. And the next teams here is going to be Artisans.
Another name, actually, a bit more familiar with myself. I'm honestly going to give it. I know we said Group D, was going to be a scary group with the LP Omni Academy and with Mercifits going in, but
Yeah.
I'm just honestly Repulse Parentless versus Artisans. I believe I've seen that exact game go down a couple times as well. Yes, I believe I have. I think the rosters and such have changed now. It was a little bit of time ago, but absolutely, it seems like that's a group to be pretty scared of, I must say.
Yeah, I'm seeing in chat right now, we have a lot of Repulse fans, we have Baigao fans, we have everyone coming in to support their teams, which is lovely. But I do wonder which team is going to have the most supporters. So right now, everyone in chat, I mean, if you're supporting someone, shout out for them. But that's going to be Group E finished. The Cherries, Repulse, and we have Baigao and Artisans. Now we have only 3 more groups. Yeah, we're not going to be here for a while, ladies and gentlemen. 30 minutes tops, but we only have 3 more groups. And the first one to start off Group F will be Tickletown. What? That is not an intimidating name.
Well, that's the thing. Is it particularly not intimidating to then get your defenses down? Someone says welcome to Tickletown, and you're going like sounds like a very pleasant evening, and then you get 13-0'd on Ascent if it's back on the I don't know where your brain is going. I'm just going to cut your train of thought right now because mine is going there too, and I'm going to go, no, stop that. But it's a big thing to kind of go down and see, because even small things like the Labubus, if you get yourself just a couple of really, really scary players, same with no talent. Maybe they actually have talent and they just want to lie to your face.
Yeah, they're most definitely lying. This is gaslighting at its finest, and I think we've gotten used to it. Also, did you see the new comp map? Well, Breeze is back.
Breeze is back, ladies and gentlemen.
Breeze is back, which in my time of casting, I haven't gotten the experience to cast it yet. And I'm looking forward to it, but all I've seen on Twitter or X or whatever God's hell name you want to call it, there has not been positive feedback about Breeze. So if anyone in chat can let me know your opinions on Breeze, do let me know. As in the meanwhile, UE Sports, this is another organization that it's in there. I just need to remember.
A little bit of Ryu comes from particularly early sort of Valorant that I've seen, and a bit of kind of later CS. That this was back in CS. This was back in the Go days. This was before CS2, and so definitely a name with a bit of staying power, and hopefully a lot more rosters with a lot more staying powers coming through. Oh my god, okay. Nice, okay. Yeah, 7 Sensitive coming in as well. Another team that I think probably a couple of people here will know, and as again, as Puffo said, give everyone the love in the chat, because especially to some of these newer teams, names can even be terrifying. If you follow like any kind of sports things or anything, you just say, oh, you're going up against Liquid, you're going up against G2. Some people just have that mental block alone. And yes, okay, we're not exactly seeing Fanatics, we're not exactly seeing G2s in here, but again, you're in a bracket with Repulse Parentless, you're in a bracket with LP Omni, you're in a bracket with Ryu. Those are definitely things that can immediately actually cause some jitters that I hope everyone can get ironed out.
Yeah, and now here Group F finished. Tickletown, No Talent, or UE Sports, and 7 Sensitive. Our UE Sports, I think they also, I remember them from Rainbow Six Siege, an extremely strong roster. But again, this is a completely different game. So in general, we only have 2 more groups right now. And the thing is, right, you guys don't want to miss out on supporting some of these teams. Do keep in mind, if you have no one to support, just pick a team you want to stick with, you want to groove with. Maybe you'll be their day one for all you know. But right now, we have 2 more groups, Medante, Group G and Group H. 7 Sensitive actually didn't get, that line finally crossed over. They finally got themselves a group after being edged for, like, what was it, this the 4th time almost?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that RO like absolutely was like parked like an inch or like maybe a pixel probably beforehand actually. So yeah, we'll go get that through.
Ooh.
And now we get to see our penultimate group get added in, and our first members in it being Elite Clan, a name that I am not familiar with, but hopefully very much live up to that. And then, as we said, who knows? There could be some major upsets here before we ever even get started as well. And that's the thing. There's a possibility here one of these teams are actually incredible, but they have a bad day, and then they go under the radar for a bit.
That is true. This isn't going to be playing over a span of weeks or months. This is going to be 3 days.
The entire thing is done as fast as this Pick'ems has been, if you look at
Yeah.
it, like you know, if you match it up in terms of like how the games will go and how the pace is, it's going to be done like before you've noticed it even really starts. So as Buffo said, you know, get your day ones in, get the merchant, because who knows, like maybe Warhawk come out with really fire jerseys once they're the EVC winners,
Who
once they're
knows?
the VCL winners, and all of a sudden, hey, you know, you're a Warhawk fan day one.
Hey, maybe Warhawk. We're gonna look forward to seeing how you perform again. I really do want to. I really wish these could have been broadcasted because again, some of
Mm.
these teams were, we're kind of like saying there's not much we want to, not much that is known about them. I want to know more about these teams. I truly do. Which I guess we're gonna have to wait until the results are out and those top two teams then continue on to VCL. But right now, the next one is gonna be LPL Mix. Now I couldn't find anything online. I did try searching up some of these teams, but again, open qualifiers, not much information. On to the next spin.
Yeah, one of those things that is going to just be a bit more difficult with open qualifiers is, you know, getting that information to kind of understand how storylines are going to play out, because usually you get to see that. My only real kind of confident opinion would be we see Repulse Parentless, we see Asterix, and we see LP Omni.
Yeah.
Definitely in the group 2. Would be very surprised if any of those get knocked out. If they do, that's the upset already starting. And if it comes through from anyone like Fast Learner, for example, you know, that's going to be a big deal. And as you said, Papa, they've got to learn that Breeze is back. And for anyone that doesn't know, by the way, Breeze was out of the competitive map pool for, I think, around 480 days.
Why do you know such a specific number? All right, go.
Because I thought it was funny.
Did you count them or did you find that somewhere?
I found it somewhere. I found it. I'll check maybe the stats while we're through. Well, while you're going through Group G, bear with me.
All right, Group G, Elite Clan, Warhawk, LPL, Mix, Fast Learner. Again, Elite Clan is the one that kind of stands out for me from the CS side of things, but in Valorant, it could be a completely different story. It is overall just an organization rather than the roster themselves, and we only have one more group here. We are at 22 minutes on the stream, meaning we don't have a lot of time left. 4 more teams to be selected, and by this point, I don't think there's much that needs to be selected. I mean, we only have 4 more teams on the wheel. There's only 4 more teams that can go into it. I think at this point, we might as well just shove them, or just for those that have a winner's mindset of spinning the wheel, let's spin that wheel and let's see who comes out first, how it goes in the order at least. And the first one will be Brat and Mix. Medante, did you get your numbers?
So I actually did have a quick very check. I want to obviously make sure I was locked in as well, listening to my boy. Those lovely kind of descriptions going through, but it doesn't look like I could see for the last time. Let me check. Looks about 460 days, 480. So Breeze has not been around in a while, which means these players are going to have to learn what is essentially 2 brand new maps.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Breeze, it's interesting. I like playing it personally, but honestly, casting it, haven't had the experience yet, and I'm looking forward to it. But we have ourselves 2 more teams. It's going to be KMR, and it's going to be Roka Heat. Yeah, it's going to be Roka Heat as the last. So we have ourselves all the groups, Medante. Sadly, we won't see them in action unless the clean feeds. But you know,
yeah. I mean, that's one of the things. We'll have a little bit like of a group now that we've got all the groups and stuff set up. But ladies and gentlemen, you know, there's not going to be anything on this channel for this. It is over the next couple of days. I imagine. Hopefully, whatever you all do, whether it's your work, your students, or whatever, probably just a little bit of free time, you know, to get yourself into the new year. So if you have the time and you want to support and you want to see some, I imagine, absolute scenes from any of these teams that are streaming their own perspectives or anything, give them a bit of love, give them a bit of support. And hey, you know what? If some shenanigans happen along the way, you know, get yourself a bit of a chuckle. That's kind of what we're here for. But you got to remember, 2 spots, VCL East qualifier slots. That's a big thing for these teams.
And even though these necessarily won't be streamed, these group stages and playoffs, you still have EVC Surge number 8 to look forward to, which is going to be from the 6th on to the 8th of January. So not even a week from now on. So again, the action is going to be kicking on back the second we can get it. That's going to be streamed. That's going to have all the grand finals, everything you're used to, the whole shebang. But right now, these are going to be our groups, 8 groups. And do we want to quickly run through them? And Dante, do you want to kick us off?
We'll go through it. We'll give you a quick fire for anyone that maybe isn't just able to kind of have a look at it, but won't keep you here for too long. So Group A, Last Echo, Adios, Olympus Reborn, Frostbite, 5 grand. Group B, Asterix Division, SIU. I nearly tried to go for the pronunciation, and I stopped myself when I realized that probably wasn't going to be a good idea. Targeted and Morx Esports for our first 2 groups in here.
Then we have Group C, the Unks, Samo Jenny, and Yogurt Siki, and the Labubus. Group, why'd you have to leave these two for me? Group
Sorry.
Z.
See, I didn't mean to do that, man. I'm looking at it now. I feel bad. I really do. I can take over if you want.
No. I'm sticking to it. I'm a man of my word. MIR Svitz or Mir Svitz, Skibidi, and LP Omni Academy, and Turkey 5 for Group D. And then Medante.
Yeah, very nicely indeed. So the cherries, repulse parentless, Baijiao?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, Baijiao will go for. And then Artisans there for Group E. Group F, then we got Tickletown, No Talent, Ryu, and Seven Sensitive. To be honest, even just for the names, Group F looks to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Group F looks to be about a lot of fun, just about like Group G, which starts off with Elite Clan Warhawk, LPL Mix Fast Learner, and then on to the last one, Bratan Mix, VR2 KMR, and Roga Heat. Now, these are going to be our groups. I do just want to make a small correction. Thank you, Mr. Foxy, for pointing it out. The EVC is going to be going from the 6th to the 11th, not to the 8th. We don't have a 2-day event for the EVC Surge number 8. It's going to be a bit longer, so you guys are going to be able to take it in throughout more than 2 days. But yeah, that's going to be our groups. And honestly, I'm just looking forward to who's coming out. I like you, Medante. Skibidi or the Labubus come out as the ones qualifying, I'm going to be rooting for them as well.
I mean, come on. Look, I'm a sucker for ridiculous names than actually coming out and kind of making something big. You know, if anything shows up, of course, not biased, but okay, I'm a little bit biased. I'm a little bit biased. But I'm a little tiny bit biased. But yeah, that is our full group. And by the way, I just want to say one last thing, because that's kind of all she wrote. That is us done and dusted for getting your groups picked. Of course, everything will start off tomorrow, but Puffo is taking my job and spreading misinformation over the internet, and I'm not happy about that, because that's my thing, is to get dates wrong, Mr. Yeah, it's my role to say 6th to the 8th, and then someone go, no, he's lying, it's different. But yeah, I guess occasionally it does happen. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we said it would be short and sweet. That's exactly what this is. So we've got our groups all set up. We've got the groups all done. Again, shout out anyone in the chat that you want to right now. But if there's any teams that kind of fancy your interest, have a look, see if we've got streams through, and then we'll get the results obviously going through. Puffo, is there any last things you want to say just before we leave the beautiful audience to the rest of their New Year's Day?
I mean, yeah, just Happy New Year's to everyone who we haven't congratulated yet. Thank you for sticking around. We're looking forward to seeing you on EVC Surge number 8. You better be there. And with that, me and Medante are going to sign off. We wish you a great rest of your holidays, whatever you have remaining of your day. And with that, catch you soon.
See ya.